Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so today I want to work on the Arsenal system for Slime Pioneers. If anyone doesn't know what that is, the Arsenal system is essentially your team. So it'll be a group of, I'm thinking, about six slimes, and you'll be able to use them when exploring, use their abilities on the fly. So I want to get started on that. We'll see how far we can get in. Probably won't be streaming for too long tonight, but I want to definitely be able to see your team in the HUD and hopefully get some, at least a layout for the team manager menu, and add some slime icons and stuff. I don't think we'll be getting throwing slimes yet, so that'll be the next step, probably for next stream, but we will see. Depends on how much we can get done today. Or tonight, I should say. It's really okay. Let's just jump into it. I think the first thing is definitely making the HUD. I think that's probably the best starting point, and we're going to use the newest version of the Unity's UI system, which is through their UI toolkit. I have not used the UI toolkit before for HUDs. I am using it quite a bit for custom inspectors, but we'll try it by actually checking out the UI toolkit for the HUDs as well as for the menus. So all menus and the HUD, so that's the player reticle, the team viewer on the left side of the screen, all of that will run through the UI toolkit. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I think we'll make a new folder for player UI, and then we'll have one for menu UI. I think that'll be separate, at least for now. So from what I know, we need to have a panel settings asset. That'll define pretty much the general size of the UI. So we'll just call this panel settings. And we'll set it scale with screen size, and we'll make the screen 1920 by 1080. Same way we usually do a canvas, but just through the panel settings. And eventually I'll be able to remove the GUI. Right now it just has the reticle, but I want to get rid of it so that we're not using the old canvas system anymore. So for now, what we'll do, we'll make a new folder empty. We'll make it for all UI. So we can add in, I think a folder is going to be the best icon. We'll see, but for now I think folder is the best icon. We'll do that, and then we will create another empty, and we'll make this the HUD, I guess. So HUD. Yeah, we'll just call it HUD. That'll be fine. And then UI document, we'll go to the panel settings, and now we want to create the actual UI document. This will be just the HUD UI. We do lowercase for that. And connect that there. Like so. And then just make sure that the settings are correct. we'll make same settings here as everything else. We'll make it 1920 by 1080. That'll make it easy to actually edit. And we should make a new style sheet as well. So we'll chuck that in the player UI folder. We'll call this one HUD styling. Yeah, we'll just call it HUD style. That'll be fine. There we go, HUD style. Okay. So what I want is we have two options on what type of team viewer we'll have. So if we go over here, we have either Pixelmon's style, which I quite like. It's definitely very cluttered, but essentially you can have 6 icons or however many for all of your team, and then have their name, have their stats and stuff as well. And the second option is something like how Palworld has it, which is essentially at the very bottom left, you can see just your active slime, and you'll be able to see like the ones on the right, ones on the left, but you have to cycle through them. I honestly don't know which one I prefer. I think it depends on how much clutter our screen ends up having, because Palworld's is cleaner, but if the screen's not too cluttered, Pixelmon's style is not too bad. If the screen is really cluttered, then it'll just get too much, so we'll see. But I think for now, just for ease of development, we will probably go with a similar style to Pixelmon, so just your team all laid out on the left. I think that'll just be easier to workshop all this stuff, because it'll just be essentially a list of icons, and we can just change the color of the icon if that's the selected slime. So I think that's what we'll go with first, and you know, we can just develop it how we see fit. So let's add in a visual element. Let's call this team list, I guess. I'm not sure if we have, let's see, we've got a list view, but I think a visual element should be fine. So what we're gonna do, let's change the size. Let's try maybe like 250, I think, and we'll add in a height of about 1,000. No, 500. We need to also remove the grow. There we go. Again. So we want to align it. It'll be on the left, but it'll be centered. So I just need to figure out how to actually do that. Because to me, the way you do that would be through an auto spacing, which would be this one here, just being set to auto and auto. But does that work? I think that works actually. Okay. So we can just hit an auto margin that'll center it vertically, and then add in a 10 pixel maybe difference. Doesn't look like it did anything. Let me just check. Okay, 20 pixel. I can't tell. Let's add in some thickness so we can actually see what's going on. There we go. I think that'll be fine. So let's make the alpha. I think we don't want it to be too transparent, so we'll probably go something like 80. But we'll raise the color up just a bit. So Make the shade like 20. Let's go 10. 10 for now. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. I think honestly we can make it just a bit more solid. You're 90. I can't even tell if that really changed much. I hit preview. I don't think that's going to change anything. Not sure. Not sure why it's blue now though. There we go. Okay. I think that'll be fine. I don't think we're gonna have it this this long in the final version, but it'll be good enough just to see all of the icons without too many issues. So I think that'll be fine. Then we can add in essentially just a slime icon. And this should be a width. Let's also remove the glow. Size can be something like 20 by 20. And let's just see what that looks like. We go 200 by 200. I think that'll be fine. Let's make this as solid as possible, and we'll actually make it lighter than everything else. So we'll go 35 for now. Add a blue tint just so it doesn't look too bland. Frankly, any gray that does not have a color to it. So if it's just gray, not gonna look good. So always add just a slight blue hint to it. Okay, then let's make it actually centered. So we can do that here. Align items vertically centered. Let's add in some padding. Go like 20 pixels. I think that'll be fine. Then we can just paste that, I think, 6 times. We'll see how many slimes we actually have. I'm not sure how many I want to have, so we'll see. What we need to do, though, is add some spacing between the items. So I'm not too sure how to do that in the UI builder. Let's see. Space evenly, I guess. Right here, let's... Okay, there we go. Now we can actually see some gap. So this will only fit 4 as it is right now. It's probably best that we shrink these then. Let's go ahead and make a... we'll make a new style somehow. I've never used style sheets yet. And that is the active one. How do I actually add in a style though? I don't think. Yeah, no, we don't need that. Let's see. Okay, I think we just need clicker, I guess. So go here. Go to the style class list. There we go. Okay. So we need to make a good sizing. If we went like 100 by 100, and then all of these get slime icon. Like so. I want to say that works, but the actual width is not changing. I'm not actually sure how to use the styles. I'm used to doing web development, so I'm used to CSS, but I just don't know why these wouldn't be changing with that, unless it's because they're already changed. So if I like unset it, yeah, okay. So basically, because they're all individually set, I guess, that they just ignore all of the classes. I mean, that makes sense. So we'll just unset it all. There we go. Now what we'll do is pick the color again. So we'll go for light about 30, and we'll add a blue again. Make it just look a little bit more natural. And then size-wise, up here, we will go maybe 150. We can see what that looks like. I don't know why this one. We need to add the class. There we go. So now we can add 6. And we go to game view. I feel like that still looks a bit cluttered. I mean, in fairness, this is probably fairly big. Like, we probably don't need it this big. So maybe we can shrink the width, because we just don't need that much spacing on it. And we can probably drop the height, honestly, to like something like 800 is probably a little bit more natural. And then for slime icons, we'll drop them down to a sizing of maybe 100 each. And we'll just see, does that look any better? I feel like that's not bad. Wouldn't say it's the best, but it's not too bad. We'll go ahead and drop the width even further here, just to make it a bit more natural still. Maybe drop that down to 700 height. That's honestly probably a bit better. And then we can go ahead and add some rounding to the panel. Should be here. Maybe it's 10 pixels. Not sure. Maybe 25. Just make it really round. I think that'll be fine. And for the slime icon, I'm thinking round shapes. I mean, round just tends to look better. And I think it'll work well with the slime icons, given slimes themselves are fairly round, so you can kind of conform around it. So to do that, we just do 50%. There we go. And I'm not sure if I can just add a shadow directly in here or not. Not sure. I think that looks pretty decent. Let's make the background a bit more solid again, just so that we're definitely not seeing too much of the background behind it. That way the actual circles are a little bit more clear. And then if we picked an actual hard set spacing, I feel like that would be better. I'm just not sure how we can do that. To me, it would be like align them to the center, but then how do I change the spacing of the children? It's not in the transform. I'm not too sure on this one. Let's see. And the content should definitely be centered, and then maybe this is part where you actually have to go into the USS code itself. There should just be a gap, right? Like that's how you do it in CSS, is you just add a gap option. It doesn't look like there is one, so if there's not going to be a gap option, then we can just do space, maybe space between. Yeah, I think space between should be fine. Because we already have we have padding on the bottom, so they're not going to reach the bottom. So we'll just use all of the space to hit the circles, which should be fine. And we'll leave it as 6 for now. Okay. Let's go ahead and make a basic slime icon then. So make a folder for the basic slime. Call it something like UI. And let's actually start getting some icons for all this stuff, because I haven't done that yet. So we'll just go materials, models. I forget which one's the actual model icon. I think that's prefabs, that's models. Okay, and then UI. There's not really a good UI icon. Could just have it as an image, I guess. Yeah, that'll do for now. Okay, let's go ahead and create a basic slime icon. So we'll go ahead and grab the basic slime image that I already made before. And we basically just need to make this an icon. So what we'll do is remove the background, and then, I mean, from a decent distance, it's honestly not too bad off rip. That's not too bad. So if we just exported this directly, this might be too high quality given it's 4K and we don't need 4K resolution for an icon. But for now, we can leave it as is. So we'll just go ahead and bring that into the project. There we go. Wait for that to export. Might be a decently long export given it's a 4K image. There we go. It should be in here. Do I need to refresh the folder? There we go. Okay. That's fine. So, we got a basic slime icon. Actually, I think I might have exported it without transparency. So let's just redo that and actually store the alpha. We'll just have to wait for that to export again. And now I should be able to change this to a sprite. And then for each icon, we'll go ahead and create. Let's actually see. I assume if I put an image here, so put the basic slime. Okay, it does have the background as well, so it's not too bad. We'll just leave it on as a texture. It should be centered, but it's not. Actually, it might. I think it is centered. It's just not great. And we can go make it smaller so that it fits. I don't know. I'm not too happy with that, to be honest. Another option is to make it really big, that it actually fits. Either it covers the whole circle, or we'll bring it down. So we'll try both of them. That's an interesting icon, though. I actually don't mind that too much. Just having the full circle. I think it might be a bit hard to differentiate certain slimes, potentially. But I'm not sure. If I position this near the bottom edge. Yeah, and then we can go like... I think that's going up, yeah. Something like negative 50... 35 or so. Maybe something like 35. I don't know. I am not sure how I want that to look. I'm not too happy with how it looks like this. Maybe if the width was actually... Well, we'll try... Okay, we'll try standard size. Or at least the size of the image. No. I'm not a fan of that. I think for now we'll just leave it like that. I don't mind that, honestly. It looks kind of interesting. You just have 6 slimes going across. So, I mean, we can delete these and just respawn them like so. And now you just have a team of 6 basic slime. So then I guess the next question becomes, if we can see the icons of the type of slime we have, but we have the same type of slime, how do we know which slime is which? We should probably add a selected class to one of them, I guess. And I feel like we should show their name. We should definitely have their name. I don't think I'm going to have any other stats for them. I'm not sure yet, but I don't think so. We just had like a visual element, I guess, like that. Just a rectangle around one of them. We could see how that looks at least. So we give it a width of like 200, maybe more. We'll go 300 for now. Then we'll get 250. Color-wise, this should be pretty much as bright as it can be. We'll go like a 75. And again, just add a little bit of blue. We'll keep it a 75 brightness. And we need to set the height 100%. Ooh. Okay, that should be behind. How do I get it to go behind? I mean, one option is just like that, but I don't think that's a good way to do it. That is kind of the standard way to do it. Let's add some rounding to it. Maybe 10 pixels. Doesn't need to be too much. We'll just call this the slime information. Get rid of the space. No. Get rid of the space. There we go. Slime information. We should probably just do the same height, so that's all 100 pixels. 100 pixels. And then I can technically just put that like so. 100 pixels. And left align it. Let's add in some padding, not too much. Like 5 pixels should be fine. And we need to actually stretch it out by essentially 5 pixels, just so it's not squashing the slime. And we should set shrink in fairness on all of them. Let me... was it this one that I just did that on? Yeah. We'll go here. We'll remove the shrink from them. That way they're just not going to stretch. Or squash, I guess. More precise. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, when looking at how other games did it, right? like looking at Pixelmon here, it's a lot of text, right? Very small icons, and then mostly name. We don't need that because we don't really have stats, so you're not gonna have. Maybe we can zoom in on this. You're not gonna have a level and a HP stat. At least not initially. We kind of just need the name. We could put the name at the bottom of the icons, maybe. I think that might be how Palworld does it, where the name's actually just at the bottom of the icon. So maybe bottom of the icon, but still have the actual list of them there. That could work, potentially. Let's see. Let's go ahead and... I don't think I can hide that, can I? We'll just delete it then. We'll add in a label to the slime icons. And put the icon at the very bottom. So we'll center align it. And put it near the bottom. We'll go minus 10 pixels. I think that... No, it doesn't clip. Okay. Let's go ahead and change this then. Let's just call it basic slime. And let's make the text white. And we'll put it in bold as well. I don't think I have any fonts installed yet. Put that at minus 20. It doesn't matter that it's clipping right now. We just want to see if it actually looks decent. Maybe if we go ahead and put the margin down to like minus 25 and increase the font size to like 18-ish, we'll center that. And we can kind of work out a pretty decent size. Like if we go 22 as an example, it might be a bit too much, but we can kind of see the general gist of it. Let's delete one slime icon just so we have more space. And then we can drop the size down to 20 so we can see a bit more of the edges, and drop the total position down to like negative 35. It's not the worst. I will say that. It's definitely not the worst. Maybe if the name only shows on the selected slime, that could work. Okay. What we'll do then is I'm going to go to the slime icon. We're going to change the border radius. We're going to remove it. Let's just unset it. And for all of the slime icons, we can't multi-select. We'll just delete these ones then. What we'll do, we'll have a visual element for slime icon. Let me just call that slime icon. And then we'll make this just an icon image. So maybe the class itself, instead of being a slime icon, it's just slime, I guess. We'll keep it a slime icon for now. We'll just name this icon. We'll move the class from it. And now we're going to have to reset pretty much everything. So size is to 100 by 100. This should have nothing set. We'll make sure grow is actually set to 0 on them. So like that. Unset it. There we go. Then for the icon, that should just be... Well, actually, this should be 100 by 100, I guess. We should be making this a class. We'll leave it for now, but this should definitely be a class. We will go ahead and if we add the circular shape, we can have no color, that's fine. There we go. And the label will go under the actual container. Maybe that's what we call it, slime container. I think that makes more sense. Make sure that it gets added. Is that not adding it? Why is that not adding it? Slime container. There. We got the dot. Still not adding it. There we go. Okay. So now we have the container for each slime. We can increase this height back up to about 800 or so. That'll give us enough room to actually have all of the slimes in it. The label we can put to 0. There should be no shrinking. And the container itself should have its height become automatic then. And maybe its width. Maybe not. Maybe we leave it like it is for now. We'll go like -30. It's better. Because what this allows us to do, the icon will be separate from the container. Makes it a bit easier for organization. And we can put the name somewhere else if we wanted to. Like if we really wanted to. I'm not sure how well we can position in this. But we should be able to go to margin. We change the direction to like a row. Then if that became auto, like it's put in the center. We don't really want it in the center. It doesn't make much sense. It should be on at the top of the icon, essentially. I'm not sure if we can change that here. So then instead we can just make the align items to be from the top. No. I think it should be from the top. Definitely shouldn't be stretch. We should be aligning the items from the top, which would be the flex dart. It's not align self, and it's not align content or justify content. Actually, it might be justify content. No. Justify is only centering it out. I'm pretty sure it should be from flex dart. But it's not working. Because of course it never wants to work. We'll just call this name for the slime. We'll keep it after. We can just set it on the margin actually. It's not too bad. When we zoom out. So it would say basic slime with the icon to the left of it. When there's no stats, it kind of looks a bit empty at the top, but we'll leave it there for now. And what we'll do is we will increase the width of the slime container. We'll go here. Just to make it fit, about 240. And we should be aligning itself to the left. And when we look at it here, let's add in some padding. So we'll go about 5 pixels. Should probably be fine. Maybe 10, just to be safe. We'll go 8. I think 8 will be fine. And its height, I feel like its height should just change based on its children. I don't actually know if we can do that here. I guess initial would work like that. And width, I'll go like 250. Yeah, I think that'll work. Then we can add in a decent radius. Nothing too big, maybe 8 pixels. Just to give it some smoothing. Now if the icon was in the center, then what we might do, let's duplicate this. Let's go ahead and rename this real quick. We'll just call this selected. And I'll duplicate this. And just rename that to slime container. And then we'll go give selected to the top one. And we'll remove the standard slime container. I guess we can keep it, that's fine. But we'll go slime container. And then in this case, what we should want is for the width to only be 100. Where is this slime container? It's down here. Right, because we have even spacing, so it's all going to be... There, we can duplicate a couple of these. So, slime container should have a width of 100. All of these only have slime container, so that's good. but its width's all set directly. So we'll just have to unset all of that, like so. Yeah, the icon's a width of 100. I think just plus the padding again. It's the one thing I keep forgetting is the padding. So we got an 8 pixel padding, so it should be 108. And it's still definitely not enough. Okay, so it'll be 8 times 2, I guess, because you got left and right padding. So that would be 116. There we go. 116. Now, we all have a name. I feel like maybe we shouldn't show the name. Well, we probably definitely shouldn't show the name, but I think that'll be fine. So let's go back to the actual container USS and change the width there. That's better. Definitely is better. We can probably have another slime container. So you'll be able to see the icon of your slime and the name of it. We need something in the bottom then. If we're gonna have the name, we need something in the bottom. Let's make the selected container though, and we'll go ahead and change the background color. Make it a bit more blue, a bit brighter. Not too bright so that it doesn't interrupt the white text though. And definitely not too blue either. Something like this should be fine. I think I like the icons without a background, honestly. Like if we removed, set the radius, is this all hard set again? It is. Of course it is. Just unset all of that there. Now we can set the radius 50%. Okay. That's not too bad. Having it as a circle but still with the padding helps break it up from the background, that's for sure. Now, this selected container, I definitely don't like. I think the width is definitely too short. So if this is 116, it should be at least 232 would be double, but that still feels weird. It might be because of the padding though. So if we removed 20 pixels of padding, or added, I guess, 20 pixels of padding, that'll be about 252. Can't even tell if that changed. So, is this... It's all set, like hard set. Where is width? Unset that. Okay. 252. Does that still look too small or not? I can't tell. Honestly, I cannot tell. I think the text has to be like after this. After the main container. which means that we need to get the selected container. If we just increase the width further, say add another 20, that's not it. Add another 20. Now the text should be moved to the right. So let's add in a space between. And I think we just have to clear it again. Like always. Unset that. And go to the right. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, that's definitely way better. We might not have needed the full extra 20 though. I'm not sure. We'll leave it like this so far. I think that looks good enough. And we'll come back to it. Essentially, you'll be able to run around and see. Keeps trying to make me. I can. There we go. Okay. How do I? Why? It's just full screening everything. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. So if we're playing the game like this, I still think that's a bit too small. Like this just isn't wide at all. Like what anywhere near wide enough. I think the overall size of the icon should shrink as well. Because that's a big chunk of screen space here on the left. You got no room for anything at the bottom left. And no room for anything at the top left either. So maybe if we shrink it by like 20% or so. So we can actually full screen here. This is a lot easier to work with. So what we should do is go ahead and shrink this a little. Instead of 150, maybe we do the icons first. That's probably better. So slime container. And we give it a width of maybe 100. No. Why is that not working? 100 pixels. There we go. Which also means the icon should be. Let's go ahead and create this into another USS class. Can we add it this way? Doesn't look like it. That's annoying. Okay, let's go call that slime icon. There we go. And then we can give slime icon to all of the icons. Like so. And that one. Now, it would be nice if we can actually hard set stuff. So if I go set as value, does that work? Doesn't look like that's worked. So I think I have to unset it every single time, which is really annoying. But that's Unity for you, I guess. go. So we want the slime icon. It was 100 pixels. Plus the padding was the container size. So dropping the container size by 16, we should drop these down to 84, I believe. Like so. And now we have enough room to shrink the container itself a bit. So we can drop the height by actually a pretty sizable amount. Maybe something like... Maybe we just leave it at 700. And we can drop the width by quite a bit. The width is 150. But we can drop it to be... not too much, to be honest. That's just 10 pixels shorter. It's really not much. Let's see what that looks like though in game. So we'll just hop over to this view. It's definitely better. That is definitely way better. We might not need as much of like the surrounding circle. So we can probably drop the padding by a little bit more. And that'll also help with the whole container. So what we'll do, keep us on fit people. There we go. What we'll do is we will drop the padding down to like 10 pixels, which I think would just look a bit better. Then make the width much shorter. I think 120. Yeah, 120. That's not bad. Then we can drop the height by a bit. Something like 650 should be good. Go 650. And then we can drop the container size. Because right now it is 100 plus padding of 4. So we'll go to a padding of... or instead of a padding of 8, go to a padding of 4. No. Can I actually see the padding? Okay, if I drop padding by 4, we drop the width by 4 as well. So that goes to a 90. Nope, drop it by 8. Okay. There we go. Can we fit viewport? Maybe a little bit more. Like if we set it to 94, and that way the padding can be 6. No. 96, and the padding can be 6. I think that looks pretty good. At least it's not the worst. Our other option, because I'm not a big fan of how it just sticks out, and again, because we don't have any stats, it's just showing the name. Our other option is to have the name just at the top of the team list as a whole, and then have the circle still become the blue square, but just around the icon. So we might do that then. Which means what we should do is add in a visual element to the team list. Or technically duplicate the team list. Chuck all of the slime containers into the team list like so. Actually, no, we don't need. We already duplicated it. There we go. Then we'll set this top one. Make it team container. Or even actually just Arsenal. I think that's better. And now we're going to go through, fix up all the styling issues. So just clear out everything here. Actually, honestly, we can kind of just unset all. What we need to keep is let's actually, honestly, we might just do it manually. So if we set the margin, the scale should be just at 100%. No, actually, it shouldn't be at 100%. I'm trying to think on how to do this. Let's add a visual element at the top. We'll call this selected slime. And we'll go ahead and set a height to that. We'll make it really small, something like 30 pixels. And a width of 100%. Arsenal, we can get rid of the padding. And we can go ahead and add a border. Oh, there's shadow. Okay, we'll deal with shadow after. We want to add a bottom border. We'll make it 10 pixels maybe. We'll see. Color should be black. Okay. We'll go like maybe 3. 2 pixels even. We'll make it a decent light color, something like 40. Give it some blue. Something not too blue, something like 20. I think that'll be good. Then we'll add a label for the selected slime here. We actually can take it directly from that there. And now we can change the text size. Just make it a little bit smaller. And we'll give selected slime itself. We'll give it a padding. So we'll go something like maybe 8 pixels here. Wouldn't be too bad. If I give back shrink for the name, does that do anything? Does not look like it. So we just need to set the actual text size ourselves. We'll go something like that. Maybe 18. And then text height. I mean, it should be the top. Right now the text is clearly not at the top though. Okay. We can just center that then. Even then, I mean, the size has to be quite low. So the other way is just increase the height a bit. Something like that. We don't need a bottom padding. I think we'll leave out bottom padding. And then that way we can drop that height even more, about 30. Maybe a little bit less than 30. Or actually no, 30 should be fine. I think it's just the text size. So we go back to the name. Drop size down a bit. 17 should be fine. And that way, slime container selected. The width will stay 100 pixels. I think that's cleaner. I still think there's some issues with it, but it definitely is cleaner. So let's have a look at why our radius isn't working here. I think the background color just still needs to be removed. There we go. I think basic slime, let's just bring that in. Maybe make its width 100%. Let's give it some bottom padding then. Not border, where's padding? Here. Okay, we'll give it not too much, like 4. Then we'll just drop the height a little bit more, so about 35. I think that will make it work just a little bit better. Drop the font size down to 16. And maybe if we give the Arsenal, so team size is still of 650 height. So if we were to select the Arsenal, the height in the Arsenal should be automatic based on the children size. There we go. That's better. That's definitely better. Like if we look at that in game view there, you can see your selected slimes. You'll have, at least in this case, 6 of them. Again, I'm still not sure if we're going to leave them as the circles. I think that it's going to get too hard to know which slime is what. We'll see. It just depends on how I think we end up making it all work. But just having the icons like that does look pretty nice, at least for basic slime. So we'll leave it that for now. We can see the selected one. It's just a square, essentially, instead of a circle, which is good enough. So our next step then should be maybe being able to swap between the slimes. Yeah, I think we'll try to just swap between the slimes. I think that'll be our next step. So what we want to do then is we're going to make an Arsenal manager, and that Arsenal manager will control pretty much all functions related to using the slimes. So what we'll do is make a new folder, I think, for systems. And we can give this a maybe an icon, maybe just a color. I think blue's decent for systems. And we'll make a folder for the Arsenal system. And then we'll get the scripts. So let's go ahead and make an Arsenal manager. And this will be per player. So we'll go ahead and put that on the player game object as a whole. The script class cannot be found. Should be fine. No? What's wrong with the player? Might be. Come on, let me select it. Arsenal manager. That should be fine. Why can it not find it? Let's go ahead and recompile. That might take a second. Now let's actually stop it. Can we cancel the task somehow? And we'll just let that reload. Okay, let's restart hot reload, which is a very useful asset that pretty much any programmer should have. So now we should be able to add the Arsenal manager. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Arsenal manager. Let's figure out what we need to have and what we can change. What we want to do is first probably go to the selected slime. So let's get some general variables set up. We'll go with an integer for the amount of slimes, I guess, so Arsenal size. And we can have just a standard private int for current position. Not a big fan of that name. We might change the variable name later, but for now that'll be fine. Let's run an on update. And we'll also get the input manager. So let's get the input handler. And if I remember from my previous scripts that I was working on, you go over to the player, movement controller. Yeah, we'll just grab that line of code there. So we'll handle the on start. We'll get input actions. What's wrong with that? Input actions, input, but input. How is it? Player input actions. There we go. That class. Okay. So we have our input. Now we can check going forward or back. So I guess in this case, upward or down. So let's go ahead and make... We'll wait for that to reload. We'll make 2 new keybinds. One for going up in the arsenal and one for going down. Which should be under... I don't remember how to actually use any of this stuff. We'll just go to the input actions here. Okay. So we got a UI option, which is more just for the menu. So we'll keep it here for now. We'll make a new action. We'll call this one... I guess Arsenal up. Can we make a folder? I think action workers folders, right? Just A on the keyboard for Arsenal up. Honestly, actually, this should just be fine like that. And then we'll make Arsenal down. And change from A to D, like so. And we'll just save that. Well, actually, that doesn't even show up on stream, does it? There we go. Arsenal up, Arsenal down. And so instead of A and D, it should be Q. Stop pressing that. And E. Not sure if we'll keep it that way, but you want to be able to change your selected slime easily. So press E or Q and you'll swap between them. I think it works. We'll see if we keep it this way. For now, it works. So now what we'll do, we'll get the current position, which should be default at 1, maybe. that should be fine. Okay. So, if the player presses Arsenal up, presses Arsenal up, move Arsenal selection up by 1. We didn't even mention that. Just move it up. Got player Arsenal up is pressed, was pressed this frame. And then same thing, pressing Arsenal down, where we'll move the Arsenal selection down. So, the way this will work is essentially current position, and that might be a more apt description here, move current. Well, actually, maybe current selection. Still not a big fan of that, but it'll do for now. So the current selection will just increase. Actually, going up will decrease it. Going down will be increasing it, like so. Increase the current selection. Increase current selection. Now, what we need to do is handle when it gets to the end. We'll just basically make it a loop. So if it reaches the end going down, it will just start back up at the top. So what we'll do is, I guess, just if the current selection is greater than the Arsenal size, and maybe we stick with index numbers. It's probably easier, to be honest. Which means current selection plus 1 is greater than the Arsenal size. Then we will reset it to 0. Otherwise, when going up, if it is less than 0, we will also reset it, but we'll make it equal to the Arsenal size minus 1. So if the current selection is greater than the Arsenal, or if the current selection has reached the end, reset to start. Set to start. I guess this has already reached the start. Makes more sense. Already reached the end. So now I should be able to just log the current selection in either case. And that should just work fine. Let's hit play. So we'll press E and Q and it will change the Arsenal selection. So if I press E, 0, it's going to stay at 0. Pressing Q goes to -1 and stays at -1. So let's see why that is. When you press Q, which is Arsenal up, it will decrease the current selection, making that -1. And if it is -1, then it'll be set to Arsenal size. So that's the problem. The Arsenal size was not set, so that'll be 6. So now it should work, hopefully. Let me check my audio real quick. That'll be fine. Okay, so we'll go to the console. I don't know what's going on with my screen right now. It's heavily lagging. I mean, the frame rate's not lagging. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, press E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it should reset to 0. And if I press Q, immediately goes to 5, and we'll go down. Cool. So now we have the proper Arsenal selection. Then what we need to do, I guess, is update the UI. And the way that we'll do that is pretty much just applying that class that we already built. So the slime container selected. We'll apply that class based on the index number on the team list. So if the current selection is 1, so that'll be index of 1. So it'll go to this one and just give it slime container selected class. And it'll also have to, I guess, remove that class from all of the others. So we'll have to do both of those. Which I guess raises the question, how do we actually do that? I am not sure. We need to be able to select one of the elements, I guess. Maybe we do that by a list. I'm just not sure if that would work. Well, instead of a list, like it should just be team list, and then we can get the children of that. I'm just not sure. Yeah, because you're not going to be able to like add that to the inspector. So let's see. So it looks like maybe we get it from the HUD, I guess. Get the source asset and then find it by text, I guess. Okay. Sure, let's do that. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and add a serialized field for the HUD UI, which technically would just be a visual tree asset, I guess. We get a visual tree asset. I'm not sure if we shouldn't be selecting the actual document. I feel like that doesn't make sense. To me, that wouldn't make sense. So I think we have to select the actual copy. I assume it's making a copy of a document. That makes the most sense to me. So then we'll be getting a UI document. We'll just call it, I guess, HUD UI. And that should let us select it. We just have to wait for Unity to load. So we get to the player. Let's move this up here. So I should just be able to add the UI document here. And then under, I think under update, I mean, we can just at least try it, right? We'll go ahead and get the visual element from that. So we call it visual element, and we're getting the it's called team list. No, we're trying to get the root. Sorry, get the root first. So the HUD UI dot root visual element. Then from here, we'll find the actual element that we want. So that would be the team list, which should be just a visual element. Call it team lists is root dot q visual element, and it should just be team list. I think they have an uppercase actually right now. I should be setting them to lowercase. Let's do that. We're going to make sure we have clean coding standards. I like camel case. Everything gets lowercase at the first letter, which actually we need to do for the slime icon name as well. There we go. We'll just go through all of these. And reset them. There we go. Hello, Arke. How are you going tonight? I don't think my chat's showing up in OBS, so I just had to bring it up in YouTube Studio. This seems interesting, even when I don't really understand it. That's fair. Well, right now I'm trying to make an Arsenal system, so it's basically your team manager, if you will. A good example, we'll go quickly over here. Here we go. Is something like Pixelmon, for example, where you can see your list of your 6 team members on the left, and something that Palworld does as well. But they do it at the bottom here, and you can only see like the main selected one. So that's what I'm currently working on for my game. Slime Pioneers, it's all about collecting slime, so they're all slime creatures. But it'll have a similar system, at least to look at your team, right? Doesn't mean that it's actually going to work the exact same, but it'll work at least somewhat similarly to them. So right now, I'm just designing the actual UI where you can see that on the left. And I messed up my coding practice. I usually always do lowercase on the first letter. That's just a programming thing. And I accidentally didn't. So we have to go back and clean that up before I can keep programming. I think that should be fine now. So now I should be able to... Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah. It happens. It's always a tricky thing for me, is because they're always very different in the way that you interact with them, that you kind of forget your coding standards a lot. Like, I'm used to Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So anytime I'm in here, variables, lowercase at the start. But anytime that I'm working like the UI toolkit, which is new to me, I forget because I'm not used to that. I don't feel like it's code, but I should be using proper code standards. I sometimes forget that the multiplier is negative. Yeah. Mistakes happen, but as long as we get past them, it's no problem. So now let's see if this works. We should be able to just get its children directly. So then once we have the children of the team list, so what we're trying to do is, and I actually need to rename these icons. So let's actually clean these out first because I keep forgetting to do that. Because I want my icons back. Right now we can't see the actual slime pictures. We'll do that. Delete slime icon. And then we'll just re-add them here. Slime icon. There we go. Okay. So, what we're trying to do is, right now the circle represents just an unselected slime, and the square will represent the selected one, so your current slime. So the way that I am going to do that is through the slime container selected class, and I'll just apply that directly. So I should hopefully be able to actually make this a visual element, and then maybe add to class list, I guess. I think this should work actually. So just make it slime container selector. How hard would it be to animate the slime icons? I think that depends on how I do it. So for me personally, I'm a programmer first and a 3D artist second. I kind of go hand in hand with them, but programming is by far my main skill set. I'm not a 2D artist, so I can draw. I drew the slime icon. I can actually pull up a bigger image here of the slime, and you can see that there. And I also made a 3D model for it, but I can't really animate 2D, at least not well. I've never really tried, especially something with actual texture. I've done a couple like stickman animations. But once Blender loads, I will show you the 3D model, because the 3D model for the basic slime is done, and that is rigged up to animate. So if I put the icon using the 3D model instead of the 2D image, I could do that. Or I could, try to get good at drawing. I could do that. But let's go to rendered view. Should be on it. Okay. So we got this slime here. And if I go to pose mode, you can see that it's already rigged up, ready to go. It squashes and stretches. So I can make this animate in 3D pretty easily. Again, yeah. 2D, not my strong suit. We'll see, but just depends on what version I want to use the icon for, I guess. Okay, let's see. Can I add an index number? I think what I need to do is go I0. I meant that the slime winks at you. Yeah, pretty much the same thing, to be honest. Like, it'd be easier to hand draw, like, just a wink animation or something instead of a whole body movement. I've just never really done that in 2D. The way the 3D model is, like, the way that works, though, is if I go to UV editing here, is it has 6 separate eye shapes. So these are 6 separate textures that will change its eye. Basically, you just change the coordinate and it'll change to a different drawing. I don't have actual different shapes yet, so it's still just standard eyes. But essentially, one will be like eyes closed. One will be eyes widened like a circle. I actually have... I don't have... Actually, no. I don't have an image of it, but I have a small whiteboard next to me with different face shapes, so different eye shapes and different mouth shapes. So the way the 3D model will work, at least, is it will just instantly change between those shapes. So it won't be like a smooth animation, but in 3D movement, like when it's actually stretching, you're not going to notice. This is how most people do it. Okay, so we need to get just the team list child count, I guess. Yeah. 2D animation is actually harder when making long and colorful motions, while 3D is hard when making the model and moving it, but it should be easier. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how I go to do it. I am already getting the 3D model rigged up for animation, but again, when it comes to the face specifically, it's going to be an instant change. So basically, eyes will just go from open to instantly closed. I might change that in the future, but that's just the way it is right now. And maybe, honestly, that works fine. Maybe I stick with the 2D image and just add a simple animation there. I think it can go either way. I'm not kind of opposed to either method. I just have to look into it more, I think. Okay, let's go. Team list children. And we'll get I. Ooh. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay. What is children then? Is it a list or it's an I enumerable? Okay, so I can just go visual element, slime, container is the team list. And I just can't go straight to 0. Because dot children will get me I enumerable. Is that just saying it's a different type of visual element? I don't think so, no. I guess we can just make a var for it. Make a var for team list children. I'm going to go through and comment all of this anyway, so it really doesn't matter what it ends up looking like. So I can go team list children. That's still not going to work because now it's just a var, it's not actually a list at all. I don't really use enumerators much, so I don't know how they work. Honestly, 3D animation is a better choice, mostly because it's easier to be consistent with the proportions. Yeah, absolutely. I think it probably doesn't matter much for a wink, right? Like a wink's very simple. Specifically for bodies, 100% 3D is going to be way better. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, realistically, I just have to look into them more, I think. But at the very least, 3D is definitely animatable. It's actually already in the game. Oh, let me get out of here. is in slimes. Let's go to the basic slime. The 3D models in the game ready to go. No animations yet, but it is rigged up. So I'll definitely expand the animations for the basic slime, get it in an actual workable state, probably before I get into icons and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the slime's almost ready. It can actually hop around, actually. I should probably show you that as well. This is my first stream since starting development, so I haven't actually shown anything other than, I think, 2 community posts on images of them. But right now, the basic slimes can walk around, and they just bounce around like so. So I just need to add animations. They will either walk around, or they will stop, kind of like squash and get ready for a charge and then bounce. But yeah, so you have little basic slimes. You can just spam a couple of them. And instantly the place feels a little bit more alive. So I can't wait to actually get them fully implemented. Right now they wander around randomly. What the plan is I'm going to be getting the Arsenal system finished first. So being able to actually throw your slimes, manage your team and stuff. Once I have that all done, or at least to a workable state, the next step will be making these slimes, if they're tamed, they will go ahead and follow the player. And then in addition to that, making a way for the player to actually tame them. How does your computer feel? What do you mean exactly by that? Like, performance-wise? On how it's running, or...? They do get stuck on stairs, though. And I do need to fix that. We just move them off the side. Yes. My computer, generally speaking, runs perfectly fine with them. If I have a slime selected, it lags a lot. But that's not the actual game. That's the Unity inspector, because this is a custom inspector. And that just makes it lag. I don't know why it's that bad, so I do need to look into that. Performance-wise, works fine. But I'm lucky because I have a 4080 Super graphics card and like an i9 13900K. And I think 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM. So my computer can generally run anything fine, so it's hard for me to judge for low-end devices. But at the very least, the game will be developed in a way that you can run it on at least a mid-level computer, like a 20 series or something. I'd like it to run on the low-end computers because I would like to port this over to the Nintendo Switch at some point later in development. We'll see how that goes, but performance is absolutely going to be a key focus because the map in this game is going to be massive. So I'm going to need to figure out a few tricks and stuff to make the map more condensed, make it a little bit more optimized and stuff. Okay. So let's just figure this out. I need to... Basically, we have the team list, and we can get the children of it. But I need to get the exact index of that. I don't think I can do that directly from a for each, but we'll see. Because if it doesn't come out as a list, then I can't do it directly like this. So we'll just have to see. Okay, so one way that I'm seeing to do it would just be Sending it directly out like this. Oh, okay, wait. Okay. I might just actually be able to do it directly, not using children, I guess. Team list I. Questionable, but we'll see if this works. You could make so that some slimes come to you when you hold up something that they like and use that to tame them, or make traps to catch other slimes and tame them over time. Yeah, absolutely. I think taming all of the different types of slimes, there will be like quite a few different ways to tame them. It'll be a tricky balance to find, where I really like the cozy nature of games like Slime Rancher, where you just run around and you pick up a slime. And I will have 2 different types of slime containment, I guess. You'll be able to just pick up random slimes very easily to bring them back to your base to farm them for resources. So put them in pens and stuff. But to actually tame them, or you'll need to actually tame them to use them in your team. So for you to be able to name them, for you to be able to use their abilities, you'll need to tame them. How to do that yet, still figuring them out. Some methods, for example, one that I always go back to is like an Inferno slime. So that'll be kind of a fire-like slime. Is an Inferno slime might be very aggressive. So it might try to shoot fire at you. But if you have a water slime, you could use the water slime's ability to quite literally cool off the fire slime, so that the Inferno slime is kind of, I wouldn't say knocked out, but like they're cooled down, they're calm, they're not on fire, and at that point you can actually get close enough to them to tame them. I don't know if that will be the process of taming them, or if that'll just let you get to them and then there'll be something to tame them. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. There's a lot of slimes that we need to design. I'm pretty sure this code works, so I'll show you, or I'll work on that in a quick second. But let me show you all of the slimes so far. These are just workshopped ones. Some might not be in here. Some might get removed, some might get added. But you have your basic slime, which is what I'm working off of now. Basic slime, no abilities. It is just a standard slime. It will drop some resources for base building, but it's not one that you're going to be using out and about. Then you got things like Inferno, Lava, some Aqua and Ice ones. Yeah, the basic slime's the green one. I think green's a decent color. For some reason, most people seem to avoid green when it comes to slimes, which doesn't make much sense to me, because like the first thing you think of in real life of a slime is, in my opinion at least, is like a green goop slime. But anime, games, they always tend to do blue as like the default. But yeah, then we got some like air ones, some more earth-like ones, fern slime, mud slime, rocky, mystic ones, gilded ones will be kind of metals, or very special slimes. And the miscellaneous, these ones I'm not sure on. These ones might be absorbed by other slimes. They're ones that I'm more workshopping currently. Like the explosive slime, that might just go under like the Inferno or something. I'm not sure. Sticky slime though, there's not really one in here that would work for a sticky slime. So that might be a standard, like a standalone slime. We'll see. It may be too basic. I mean, it might be. I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be a basic slime, right? Like, Slime Rancher, for example, they have kind of your red slime. That's your first one that you'll meet. But it's red. They always do a different color. No one does green. In fairness, green's really hard to get right. In fact, like, one of the images that I made initially in my community posts here, when I made the 3D model, in my opinion, this looks very radioactive, for lack of a better term. Like, it's really deep green, and that's a hard thing to balance for sure. So what I ended up doing is I dropped the saturation down so that the inner core, so pretty much you still have like a bright green glow, but all the inner color is a little bit less saturated, a little bit more natural colored. You can make it so that you have to use the basic slimes to tame the other slimes, or have the basic slimes evolve into other ones. It looks pretty good. Thank you. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I really haven't thought too much into taming slimes yet, into like how you unlock them. But slimes themselves have very broad uses, right? So every slime will be able to drop resources that you can use to upgrade items, you can use to build your base. And because I'm aiming for the more cozy aspect, less of like a pure survival game, more cozy exploration, slimes themselves are your progression system. Like, if you want to build out of stone, you're going to go find one of the like rocky slimes. And if you want to build out of like mushrooms, then there'll be a slime that kind of drops those materials. So it's up to you. If you want to build out of this material or upgrade this item, you go find that type of slime and try to tame it. And I think that makes a pretty interesting like progression system, you know? Not pure leveled. So we'll see. Again, though, still haven't fully thought it through. Can I think of it? I only have time. Yeah, you can, absolutely. I will be streaming as much as possible. As much as I can, right? So feel free to jump in the chat whenever you want, or comment on any videos. I will be doing devlog videos I want to aim for like a month, every month or so, maybe 1.5 to 2 months, depends on just how much progress I can actually make. But always open to suggestions. This is going to be a multi-year long kind of endeavor, so any feedback always going to be great. Okay, I think this should work. So we can just go directly from team list as if that was the list, by the sounds of it at least. So let's see. If this works, the second icon should get the blue square around it. So we press E. We press E. It is not working. Okay, that's not great. I mean, this should at least be running, I imagine. We'll see, but... Alright, 2 logs here. You look forward to it. Yeah. It'll be a long process, that's for sure, but we will get there. I want to make it a really fun game. Scope's obviously always a big issue, but I will be graduating my bachelor's degree in 6 months or so. After that, I will actually have even more time, because in my opinion, I don't think a job's going to be as bad as full-time uni. Okay. Let's see. So I press E. It just says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is working, but it's not actually changing. Let's see. Let's just check if the actual if statement runs. Okay, we press E. that is working. So what I would have to imagine then is that it's just not updating like the current version of the like the visual tree asset, I guess. The only other option is maybe this is just misnamed. That is a potential. Let's see. If I Control V. Ooh, slime containers. That might be it, actually. You gotta love when you misspell things. That's the worst thing you can do in programming, especially if it doesn't cause an error, but we got it. Okay. I am pressing E, it's still nothing. Okay, let's see if we copy this. Is there anything else wrong? Maybe it needs the dot? I wouldn't be surprised if it needs the dot, to be honest. I know, we all make the grammar mistakes. Grammar encoding sucks. Oh, selected. Man, I really cannot spell today. Slime container selected. Okay. See if this one works. I mean, at least if you misspell something in the actual hard code, it will tell you there's an error. When you do things like this is why, like, I've never really used the UI builder, but it's all through strings, which means you're gonna misspell something. Yeah, press E. There we go. Okay. It is changing. I don't think I'm gonna be able to zoom in on this. It is changing, but it's not becoming square. So that's interesting. The grammar mistakes are the grandma mistakes. Let's see. Slime container selected. So is the radius for the border? Can I look at it here? The radius might be hard set. Yeah, I think it was. Okay. So we should be able to go down here and set it for the actual class instead. I was using like just the direct hierarchy before, so some of the styling is still connected to that instead of the classes, but this should work fine now. Let's put that back. Okay. Oh, now the icon's tiny. That's not good. Oh, okay, icon's good. That should work now. So what we also need to do is we'll go ahead and let's actually get the slime container directly, and that way we can remove the class for all the other slimes that are now no longer selected. Selected, not selector. And honestly, actually, to make this even more efficient, we don't need this. We just straight up. Actually, no, yeah, we don't even need this if statement. What am I even thinking? Okay, team list. The current selection. Okay, we'll get the team list first. Because what we'll do is we'll disable the current selection immediately, which is easy. We just do current selection, remove from class list, slime container selected, And then, instead of the if statement, because everything's running through team list directly, like through the brackets, square brackets, we can just do it directly out here. Team list current selection after changing the selection, add to the class list. That should work. If that works, then we're good. Then the Arsenal selection on the left is pretty much done. We're not changing the name, but I will probably leave that to a little bit later. So let's see. Press E. And it works perfectly. Awesome. The sizing is changing, though. That's a bit interesting. I might need to look into that. But otherwise, it works, which is great. Now I get the pain of going through and commenting all of my code again. So we'll get the root element, which honestly we can do at the very start. So let's call this UI variables. I don't think it's called a root visual, right? It should just be a visual element. Imagine. Yeah. Visual element, we'll call this root element. And let me just copy that. And we'll change that in the start. Get the root element. There we go. Then all we have to do is get the team list. Remove the current selection. Increase the current selection. Handle if it's already reached the end. And then select new current selection. There we go. Then we just do this for decreasing as well, which will be easy enough. Maybe we'll move getting the team list into start as well, but it's a one-time press, so it doesn't matter too much. So we'll just get the team list. It's just pretty much the same code, so it wouldn't be too hard to consolidate it as well if I really wanted to. Remove the current selection. I mean, yeah, realistically, it's just about decreasing the number, so I might look into that to just consolidate them into the two. Doesn't matter now, but it's basically the same code, so you might as well at some point. Container selected. I understand how Taiju feels when Senku explains something. There we go. So now, I think if I press Q, it should also start going up in the arsenal. So you can basically, you don't have to go all the way down to get back to the top slime. You can go down or up. So we press E, and then we press Q. There we go. First try, which feels a lot nicer than the 10th try. I am interested why it is changing the size. That is interesting. Like you can clearly see some of the icons here are changing ever so slightly, but are changing. I would imagine it's because of the padding. So we'll see, I guess. Where a standard slime container, let's full screen this. Standard slime container has a padding of 6 pixels. So there is this grey circle is 6 pixels wide. On the container selected, yep, padding of 8 pixels. Drop that to 6. And we will have to drop the width as well by 4 because it's we removed 2 pixels from the padding, so it's 2 pixels from the right and 2 pixels from the left. So that'll go down to 96 to make a straight square. So now, if we hit play, it should fix the weird changing in size, hopefully. Press E. Yeah, there we go. No more changing in size. So you can be running around, and then you just press E until you get the slime that you want. And then you'll be able to hold right click and then just throw. And it will launch that slime forward. Basic slime's just going to hit the wall. It's going to hit the wall and drop. But some slimes will be a bit different. The sticky slime, which I think will be its own unique slime. We will see. But you throw that at a wall, you'll be able to actually climb the wall, which will be cool. My old laptop would be crying if I were to try it. That means we just need to upgrade the laptops. I mean, honestly, hopefully the game will be performant enough to run for yeah, at least mid devices. Like, the hard thing is, I really don't want to sacrifice quality. That's a hard thing to do if I want to get it to work on like a Switch 2, right? So it'll be an interesting balance to find, but the way that I see it, worst case scenario, the main version of the game doesn't run directly on like the Switch 2. Like it's just not possible. And to be honest, it might not be possible because I am using Unity HDRP, which, as far as I know, technically doesn't work for the Switch 2. But if that is the case, I will make a port, drop some graphics, do some tweaks, make more optimizations, and I will definitely get a port out for Switch 2, I think. But I don't want to sacrifice graphics for like the main PC build. Okay. Now, one thing that I need to do is I need to clean up my movement controller because I think I left in... Yeah, I left in an interact key adding force just to test out. Testing out adding force while moving. But it's the same key as selecting your slime, so I think we'll get rid of that. Okay. This works so far. We can now see our team, so that's good. And we kind of have the slime icon, I guess. So we can tick that off my list as well. Okay. I think the next key step for the Arsenal system, I think it'll be the team manager. I think that'll be the next step. So the team manager will be 2 separate features, I guess. The first will be the actual underlying code. Right now, these basic slimes, they don't exist. they're always there. You will always have 6 basic slimes. So add a team manager that actually stores your slimes that are currently in your team. They'll be stored, I guess, as scriptable objects or something. And then separate to that will be the team manager menu, which will, work the same way it does in most games. So how you have your inventory screen, your map menu, you'll just have a team manager as well, which will let you select your one of 6 slimes, rename them, maybe, swap them around, change if they're going to be in your team or not. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to get that done today, though. Doesn't look like it, so that's not fun. Because I'll probably only be up for like another 20 minutes, but if it's going to take too long to actually code, it's probably not worth getting started on that yet. Let's see. We got this menu working, so that's good. And what else do we need? Maybe we add the reticle, just so we can get rid of the UI canvas. I think that's what we can do. It'll be really quick, and then I'll probably end it for this stream. And we've already been going for 2.5 hours. I'm not gonna have enough time to work on a team manager, I don't think. So yeah, we'll work to get rid of canvas so we can only use the UI toolkit from now on. I want to get good at it. It's going to take some getting used to. I think it will be better. At the very least, I'm used to CSS because I do web development on the side. So it should hopefully either be better or at least the same, I guess. I think, at least for static UI, from what I've heard, the UI toolkit is faster. What are your plans until it is on the sale? Like, until I go to sell it? I mean, there's a lot to do in this game. There's a lot. For this first devlog, for me to get like the next, or like, how do you make a living? How do I make a living? The answer is I don't. Yeah, no, I haven't had a job for about 2 years now. I'm just doing university. That's all I need to do. Slowly burning through my savings for the last 2 years, but I'll get a job once I graduate. It's really hard where I am. The only jobs that are in this field is full-time jobs. So I'm just stuck waiting till I graduate. But yeah, so for this first devlog, what I want to get done is I want to finish the Arsenal system so you can throw the basic slime, and pretty much all of the core functionality for slimes will be done. So slimes can already walk around, but allowing your slimes to follow the player, allowing the player to throw their tamed slimes, and maybe adding the system for taming the basic slime. I would like to look into the building system. I'm not sure if that will make it into the first devlog or not, because it's just so much more to do with the actual slimes and player controller. So additionally, you got your base building. That might be the next devlog, as well as the actual world design. As you can tell, this does not look like a cave system. It does not even look like a level. It's 4 ramps and 3 stairs. So I do want to get started on like the first main area where you'll spawn in and see how that will work. See how to light it. I think lighting's going to be the biggest challenge, where the cave system, there's no sky, but I have to light it like it is lit by sky, because otherwise it's way too dark for a fun game. So we'll see. I think those might make it into the next devlog though. We'll see though. Where do I live? You live in Estonia. I live in Australia, which sucks for the gaming industry. There's one singular game studio, basically, that's actually active in Australia, and it's the team that made Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silksong, and that's like 3 people, so there's no chance I'm getting a job there. But we'll see. I live in Canberra specifically, so that's the capital of Australia, which is even worse because the only game development jobs, they're all in Sydney. So for me, I'm pretty much stuck in a place like just I think I have to do software engineering basically as a job for at least for the next like 2-3 years. And then once I make enough money through software engineering, maybe I move to Sydney and then get a job there, or I can start my own game studio by releasing this game. That would be great. But I think software engineering's the job prospects right now. You could make something that is in Minecraft. Yeah, it will see. I think the way that I'm gonna light the cave is definitely some level of ambient light, as well as like what I want is if the cave had a roof, so we go 180 like this. So if this was like a big cave roof, let me just it's very light still, but I didn't know that Hollow Knight was made by Australians. Yeah, it's made by like 3 people in Australia. I think they're in like Adelaide or something, so nowhere near me. But yeah, I think it's 3. I think 3 people. They might have like contractors and stuff that do some extra stuff. They're the only game studio in Australia that's made any form of popular game in probably the last 2 decades, which is not great. There's like 1 or 2 AAA studios, I think. Most of them are like children's studios, so I think 1 works for like Ubisoft, I think there's an EA studio in Australia. All of them are in Sydney, I think, as well, so still hours and hours of driving away from me. Okay, so here we go. If the cave worked like this, like there's a roof on this cave, then what I'm thinking I'll do is a bit of ambient light, which would just, make it a little bit brighter. I mean, frankly, just having this as a one-sided plane kind of works pretty well. But also, in addition to an ambient light, I'm thinking I'll have like a fog layer at the top of the roof of the cave, and that fog alongside some crystals sticking out from the top, they will just start glowing. And I think that glow combined with the fog to give it a nice like ambient look, plus obviously ambient light, would work well. The issue with doing purely ambient light is you don't get shadows. So any of this would not exist, right? And even if you got like any amount of light shadow, you would definitely never get directional light. You would never ever get a sharp shadow like this, just because, ambient light essentially will fill it. But I think that will look good. I haven't tested it. That'll be the key thing. But I think that system would look good. Okay, let's try to add the reticle. I think that'll actually be really easy, because it'll just be a visual element in the center. So take out the glow and make the size like a, I don't know, 10 by 10 or something. And put the margins dead center. Where's position? I think that's at the top. an absolute position. Align self. That gets it to the center, and then we need to vertically center it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm just doing an auto line here, right? Or 2 autos, yeah. You can set these to 0. Oh. Lowercase. Gotta remember to do lowercase. I'm gonna mess up so bad on this UI toolkit. I'm gonna have half uppercase, half lowercase eventually. Okay. We have our vertical. We need it to be vertically center. I mean, aligning items doesn't do anything. Yeah. None of that's gonna work. It should just be a vertical, like 2 auto margins. That's what the Arsenal does, right? 2 margins on auto. It doesn't have a center because it's obviously aligned to the left. Which actually I should make sure that it's hard set to the left. I mean, it has a relative offset. It could be the relative offset that's doing it. I mean, should be position absolute. And the only other option is just to go like a 50% here. I don't know if that's going to change it or not. Let's add in the background color so we can actually see it. Oop. Don't know what that just did. And we'll make the background color like red just so we can actually distinguish it from the current vertical that's in there. You can make it so that the slimes are smarter when they are in cleaner places. Yeah. I'm not sure, honestly, what I'm going to do with the slimes' intelligence level. I don't want them to just, like, jump off the side of a cliff for no reason, that's for sure. So, we'll see. I would like it. I think one of the key things that I want is for you to be able to have tamed slimes wander around your base without worrying that they're going to, like, run away or get lost. Because that's a big thing that video games always fail at, is they just make their creatures like run away, or they'll, you know, run into the ocean or jump off a cliff, and then you lose them forever. I want them to be able to wander around like they're a pet. I think that's the key thing. If I can get the slimes to look and feel like a pet, like the tamed ones, I think that'll be good. We'll see, obviously, how that ends up working out, but I think it'll be good. Okay, let's see. That's actually text. We don't want text. We want background color. Let's make that red. There we go. Okay. I don't know why every time I full screen the UI builder, sometimes it doesn't show up on stream. Here we go, though. So it's not vertically center now, because of course it's not. So we need to increase its height a bit. If I were align self, that's not going to do anything. If I were to change the bottom to 50%, that's not going to do anything. The other option is like minus 50% margin, but no. I think we can do it in a transform though. So if we translated it up by negative 50%, that should theoretically work. I can't see it. Yeah, I think that works. We use transform in CSS, so makes sense that that would work. Then all we need to do is set this reticle to be white, and we'll add a border radius. Doesn't want to let me scroll down because of course it doesn't. There we go. Reticle, border radius 50% to make it a circle. And we will drop the size down to like 10 pixels. Let's just see what that looks like. When I zoom all the way in. That looks like the same size to me. So we can delete the reticle. And there we go. Now we have a reticle through the UI toolkit. That works. And then one last thing I think before I get off is I want to try adding a shadow. Because I did see shadow as an option. So I would like to try to get that to work. Now this is for text, so this might not work. But we'll see. We go 10. Oop. Slime container. Shadow is 10. Add any amount of horizontal. It doesn't look like that's going to work. That's a shame. I want a shadow, and I don't know how to do it. Let's see. Well, you can go with... But there should be a drop shadow option. I don't know why there wouldn't be one just openly available in the inspector. Let's see. And of course, back in 2020, there was a forum post saying that it is planned for shadows. Oh boy. In Minecraft, the farm animal mobs like sheep are programmed to move more upwards and onto grass blocks. That's interesting. I did not know that. I thought they ran around randomly. I mean, the amount of times that I've lost a horse, I know it's not a farm animal, but I would have a horse, give it a saddle, tame it, give it armor, you look away for half a second and it's up a mountain. Or it's just ran away. It's very annoying. So the way that my slimes currently work, I should actually probably mention, is the current just like random wandering of the basic slime. Let's add him here. Is they have a wander radius, but the radius is based on where they spawn. So this slime can only wander, in this case, 50 meters away from its direct spawn point. And that way it will stay nearby. An additional thing that I would like to get working is I don't want slimes to be only moving like on a 2D space. I would like slimes to be able to climb walls. I think that'd be cool. If they could like go around walls, up, down, if they could go like on the underside of a roof and stuff, I feel like that would be really cool. For now, they follow the Unity nav mesh, so you can see that here. And they can just wander around the nav mesh, but I think that it would be really cool if I can get them to work a little bit more 3D so that they can go up walls and stuff. And additionally, because you throw your slimes, you might not pick them back up. So what I want to do is, if you don't pick up your slime after you throw them, and you just run away, I want the slimes to try to follow you up until a certain distance. Once you reach a certain distance away from them, if possible, It might not be possible because of optimization, but if possible, I would like to make the slimes then make their way back to the base. Make them actually way back to your home. Because I feel like that would be cool. That would solve so many issues of you losing your slimes. But at the very least, I want your tamed slimes to show on the map. You should be able to hide that, right? You don't want to see like 1,000 tamed slimes, but you should be able to see them on the map so you know where they are. And you can kind of backtrack and find some of your tamed slimes. Or just pick them up. I mean, I'm not going to make it where you have to be looking directly at your slime to pick them up. As long as you're holding your pickup key and you run past them, you'll pick them up. So if you throw a slime in front of you and it blows up a cracked wall, as you're running past, hold the pickup key and they'll go right back into your arsenal. No hassle. You can make slimes aware of certain conditions so they stay in the area that fulfills the condition. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't figured out all of the things that I want the slimes to do. There's so much that I want them to do, but I want them to feel like pets, and I mean, like they're less fighting, right? The way that I'm differentiating myself is they're used for traversal, they're used for base building. They're not as much used like for direct combat, which is very different to, you know, Power World, Pokemon, all of those games. So I would like them, you know, to kind of go into that sphere a little bit more. Walk around like pets. Don't be confined to cages. Don't be confined to like a PC box where they're only in your team and otherwise you don't see them. Unlike Ark, I don't want them to be stuck still. I want the player to be able to choose, you know, don't move or wander around or follow me. But like the player can get that choice, and I think that would be really cool. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get a shadow to these UI elements, which is really annoying. Like, they're very stupid that I can't get a shadow on a basic element. You got transition. If it's USS, right, it should work the same way that CSS does, but it just doesn't. At least they don't have it, like, exposed. Don't worry, you have a slime fanatic here to help you with that if you want. Absolutely, if you want to help, you absolutely can. The actual project itself will be developed, you know, by me, obviously, like the code, the art and stuff, but always open to ideas. I really want to try to build a pretty fun community around this game. So I'd love any interaction, any feedback, any thoughts, ideas, you know, any comments that helps, because I'd like to get this game out to as many people. Aren't the shadows the hardest? Shadows shouldn't be the hardest. They are, seemingly. They shouldn't be. Like, in CSS, all you have to do is either use a box shadow, or you can use a filter called drop shadow, and that would just work instantly. Like a box shadow only works on squares. Drop shadow will work on this circle. But this isn't CSS, it's USS, because Unity has to be special. And because Unity has to be special, I can't find a way to actually give them shadows. Let's see. Because, like, I'm seeing methods to, like, fake shadows, right? Just do another one of these slime containers, but make them black and put them in the background, offset them slightly, but That's just dumb that you can't do a box shadow. Especially when I see a thread where Unity themselves said that it's planned back in 2020. It is indeed a special pain, that's for sure. If I can't do that, then the next best option is basically going to be getting a slime container like this. It's here. And then putting the position to absolute. Remove selected. Actually, no, it's not even gonna work because it needs to be above. This hierarchy is a mess. I'm not sure. I mean, I can do the icon at the very least, right? We can definitely do the icon. Make that an absolute. Make the width, I don't know, 88, right? Give it 4 pixels either side. 88. Figure out why that's moving the actual main icon. It shouldn't be. Maybe it's here actually. Make sure it's still centered properly. I don't think they're gonna matter. No margin. Maybe we give a -4 margin or so. No, -2 margin to reverse that. Then we can make the color be black, but like 80%, at least for now. And we can also remove the image. So here, set that to none. There we go. Put that behind the icon. Now let's see. If I were to have no margin, that actually might technically work. Like, put that on a flex start as well. Then the margin, for example, would push it out that way. So maybe we actually keep the height and width at 84. And then the margin can be 1 pixel. I mean, that kind of works, right? Like, make this instead of icon be... Shh. Watch my caps. Always miss the cap. Keep giving them capital letters. Icon shadow. I mean, does that make much of a difference? I think it does. I would kind of prefer the circle to have the shadow, but I think it'll do. Is it true that Australians have spiders as roommates? Yes, absolutely. Honestly, I haven't actually seen a spider in a bit. I would say maybe like a couple months or something since I've seen a spider, but we have spiders walking around all the time. I was going to one of my friends' birthdays. They were having a birthday in the city, and while I was driving there, I had a spider maybe 4 or 5 inches long walk across my windscreen on the inside. And then when I got there, I said I'll deal with it when I get back in the car. So I just went to the party, then got back in my car. It was still there, but we went back to his place. And while I was there, I was like, I'll deal with it later. So then we stayed at his for a while. And then after, like when I went to go home, I got back in my car and it was gone. And I never saw it after that, but it could still be somewhere. Why is copy pasting this not working? What? Did I? Oh, whoops. I renamed the wrong one. This is icon. Top one is icon shadow. There we go. Just chuck this up on top of all of them. There we go. I think this will work. So if we go to game view now. I mean, I think it looks better. Right? Like, because you have the... If I zoom in a bit. You have, like, the white shine on the top left. So having, like, a very dark shadow on the bottom right. I think that works. I don't think it's too noticeable. I'd say it's better. Maybe I make the shadow a little bit further out. You could try that. The spider tested you. Yeah. I think I passed. I'm not too sure, but, you know, I never saw the spider after. Let's give these all a margin of 2. I think this will be the last thing I do tonight. Okay. I can't even tell if that's thicker. I think that works. I really can't tell. I think... Actually, wait. Yeah, that's definitely... Okay, they're not... None of them are the same thickness. What is going on? That's too... It didn't save. I can't see a difference. That's because there is no difference. There we go. I think that's good. I'm happy with that shadow. What do you think? I think that just makes them pop a little bit from the background. And I'm going to have a custom UI, like a custom drawing and art for the background. So that will make it look better as well. But for now, I think this works well. You got your team and 6 basic slimes because that's all I have. The shadow looks good. Yeah, I definitely think it pops. I think it pops way more than without a shadow. That's for sure. I'm tempted to add a shadow now for the vertical. I mean, I shouldn't, but... I think for the reticle, if I was... No, I can't. Because the only way... Maybe I can. I mean, the only way to do it would be to increase the width and stuff here, which sucks. But if I said black 20, no, 80, I think it was, and just went, where am I here? 12 by 12, not even. Like literally a 1 pixel difference, I think, is good enough. That is not good enough. What? Okay, I don't think it can do 1 pixel. Actually, from this distance, you kind of can't even see it. I think that's fine. That just makes it so that you can definitely kind of see the reticle in the center instead of, like, if you're looking at something white, you won't see it. Now you can definitely see it because there'll be a tiny little black outline. I hate the way they're making me do it by putting the shadow on top of the reticle, but it's just how it goes, I guess. Reticle shadow, make sure I do the capitals properly, and I think that's good. The aimbot, yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, well, I think, yeah, I'm like 5 minutes out from streaming for 3 hours, so I'll probably end it here. I think I have a couple meetings tomorrow, some study stuff for uni, but hopefully I should be able to get to streaming tomorrow. if I don't stream tomorrow, I will definitely stream the next day on Tuesday. So yeah, if I think either tomorrow or the next day, we'll see. Probably around this same time, but honestly, if I do stream, I will probably be starting the stream like a couple hours early, maybe even like 5 hours earlier, because to me this is 10 p.m. now, right? So we'll see how that goes, but I'll probably still go until 10. We'll see. I'll just have a longer stream, I guess. Have a nice sleep. You too. I will see you maybe next time. I'm not sure, but it should be fun. The next time I will be working on the team manager. So that'll be the main UI panel that the player can open. I'm thinking by pressing T, and they'll be able to edit their arsenal, see the actual stats of their slimes and stuff. And then in addition to that, I want to get team storage. So that'll be in the background, the code actually knowing that you have a basic slime in your team. And then that way we can code in a system for throwing the slimes. I'm not sure if I'll get throwing slimes in tomorrow/next day, like the next stream, because what I want to do is I want to do things right. And that means that I need to get a player model so I can actually have a throwing animation so I can work off of that. I'm not going to make a custom player model yet. That's going to be a bit, but I'll try to find a good model and a good animation and stuff. Maybe I'll do the animation myself. But I might just not be able to get that and throwing the slimes done on time for next stream. We'll see. But yeah, 3 p.m. here for you. Fair enough. 10 p.m. for me. I got to be up early in the morning, so I'll see you next time. And enjoy the next stream, hopefully.